Welcome to MS Unmasked, Our Journey and Beyond, a podcast where hosts Justine Martin and Allyson Brown share their personal experiences, insights and practical advice on navigating life with multiple sclerosis. Each week they delve into topics such as self-care, nutrition, exercise, sleep and symptom management. Join them as they explore the physical, emotional and mental aspects of living with MS, providing a supportive community for listeners touched by this condition. Get ready to be inspired and empowered on this incredible journey through MS Unmasked, Our Journey and Beyond.
Welcome back, listeners, to MS Unmasked. How's it going, Allyson?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. It feels like forever that we haven't had a chat, but
I know. We didn't even get to see each other the other day at the art show, the Geelong Art Show.
No, I've actually been quite sick that whole weekend and spent 3 days in bed and came down with a migraine. Unfortunately, I've been a migraine sufferer since I was about 15, and I got up and I know when they're about to happen, I kind of get this, it's nearly a clarity actually. Everything looks brighter, clearer. And then it hit me. I get really hot and really clammy and have to go to the toilet. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then bang, I get the flickering light and took some pills and went to bed and was in bed for a couple of hours, and I had to get up and actually do some art show paperwork stuff that they were waiting on, which was fine because it had started to dwindle off. And then it came back with vengeance. And I
usually
had a double one like that. Anyway, 3 days later, I was still crook. I didn't get out of bed, I think, until about 3 o'clock on the Sunday, and I saw you about 4 o'clock on the Sunday, so I managed to drag myself to the art show. 2.5 years of planning that art show. I was supposed to be the MC, but because of my health, couldn't do any of it.
I know. And sometimes we just got to say no, because when that stuff happens, well, sometimes our body's just going, you're not doing that.
There's no way I could get out of bed.
That's right.
And do it. One of the guys in the art show came around to grab everything that I had, and he took one look at me and thought I was like dying. And he's like, "You really should go to hospital." And I'm like, "No, I'm fine."
Why do we do that? Oh, I'm fine. I actually had one of our gorgeous listeners, or watchers actually, I think she said she watches the vlogs, come up and say hello at the art show. So, hello. It was really, yeah, it was really, really fun. So, thank you for watching and listening, and listen to us talk about brain farts and all that sort of fun stuff.
And that just made you famous, Allyson. Now you know what it's like living in my world when people come up to me all the time around the country.
Right. I know, probably around the world almost, really. Yeah. I mean, with all of your awards that you have been winning lately, tell us about the most recent one.
So I won, I got a gold, 2 silver and a bronze last week at the Osmumpreneur Awards in Sydney.
Amazing.
So I got Disabled Business of the Year. I'm still pinching myself on that one. I got silver in it 2 years ago, so to get it again, it was absolutely silver. I've had silver, bronze, and now gold in it. And then I got silver for podcast, which was fantastic for the Resilience Mindset podcast. And what else did I get? Silver for Overcoming the Odds, and bronze for One to Watch. So I think there was 3,500 entries across the country, and out of that 3,500, 220 something made the finals.
Well
And then,
done, my dear. Well done. Going out there, just getting your name out there, getting your business out there, and doing amazing things all over the country and the world, to be honest. I mean, our book's almost going to launch very, very soon, and that's going to go global.
I know it definitely will go global if I have anything to do with it. So our book launches on the 14th of September. And if you're just joining the podcast for the first time, the book is an anthology put together by myself of 26 authors around the country, Allyson being one, myself being the other, telling our stories on what it's like to live with MS day to day and our tips and hints and that on living with this incurable disease. And 25% of the profit goes back to MS research. So,
Yeah, which is amazing. And look, 26 different stories, 26 very different experiences. Like, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be one to just not put down.
That's right. And look, the percentage of the other profit, obviously from the book, will go back into scholarships. So I'm putting scholarships together for people that come through Morpheus's writing group. So you might be sitting out there thinking, oh, I really want to write my story, or someone's told me I've got a book in me and you don't know where to start. Well, that's where, you get in contact with me and join into the Morpheus writing group, and I teach you how to write your book and then give you a scholarship to actually get that published. So we pay for the editing and the typesetting and everything like that, which is quite costly because on average it costs $10,000 to actually print a book. So we cover those costs.
Which is an amazing opportunity. And I'm part of the current writers group as well. And it is so, so good. It's so nice to have the guidance and expertise of somebody who knows exactly what's going on, having been published before and, me not being published until sort of now. So, yeah, it's amazing. I definitely highly recommend anyone to jump on board, get that guidance, get your story out there because you have a story that is amazing that's in you. And honestly, all of our stories are, we've all got that uniqueness, but there's always some things, there's challenges we've overcome, there's obstacles, there's, we've overcome the odds, it's kind of one of those things where everybody's got an amazing story inside them. Just get it out there.
I was having a meeting the other day with a woman and she goes, oh, you keep saying that I need to write my story. I said, you do. You've got a really unique story. She goes, but who's going to want to hear my story? And I went, a lot of people will want to hear your story. They want to know how you've done it, why you've done it, why you get out of bed. And that helps someone else in their life because us telling our stories isn't about us. I know that sounds strange.
I know. I always figured if you can help one person, if one person reads your book and goes, oh my God, I'm going to make these changes, or I'm going to improve this, or I'm going to do this, or oh my God, she gets me. Like, I understand what's going on. That's so precious. Like, you can't put a cost on that. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
I totally agree. This has been an experience putting this book together, and a good experience, not a bad experience. And we are going to do more as well. We've got a wait list for volume 2, and we're going to pick a couple of other conditions as well out there and do some anthology books on that. But it's been great.
Yeah. Super exciting.
I sent it to press this morning.
How exciting! I can't wait to get my hands on the physical copy and then be sitting it, behind me on my shelf here and, just proudly sitting it there. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of it.
Well, if you pop to my house, probably on Friday, because I ordered 10 proof copies on Friday. So fingers crossed that they're all okay. And then once I get my hot little hands on them, and then I can order. I've got 250 to order so far.
So exciting.
I know, right? I know. So we you'll all get them in the mail in the next couple of weeks. So if you are interested out there in listening land or watching land, in getting your own copy of the MS book, then you can pre-register, and the link's always in the show notes, or as of the 14th. It will be on Amazon, and we'll also have it on Kindle as well for you to download. And I still am working on the audio side of it, and we always said that would take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Come out, but it will be available eventually on Audible. So
amazing.
So it's so exciting on that. So Allyson, what have you been up to in the last week?
Look, I can't remember what I did yesterday, to be honest.
Neither can I.
My weeks kind of get just thrown out sometimes. So we did a bus trip yesterday, and it's sort of thrown out my week, so as part of the Geelong Small Business Festival. So it was great. But yeah, I'm sort of like, what day is it today? But yeah, just plugging away, I'm sure, at the same stuff. What about you?
Well, yeah, same really. The book has been a priority for me, but I don't know if you saw my live stream this afternoon on Facebook. I'm guessing you did. I've got to have surgery.
Oh, way. What's going on?
I've got to have grommets.
Right.
Yeah, so when I fly, my right ear plays up terribly and has done so for years. And because of the amount of flying that I'm doing, it's a problem. So I've got a blocked right eustachian tube, and because of this mast cell activation and the clogness that I get, that's not helping drain it. So bilateral grommets. He was going to just do one ear, and he goes, what about your other ear? And I said, I don't know, I'm too focused on one ear. And he goes, normally it happens in both. He said, how about we put both in? And I went, that's probably a good idea, knowing what my body's like. So I'm not celebrating, but I'm relieved that it'll make it more comfortable to fly with the amount of flying that, I'm on a plane 10, 12 times a year at the moment, and that's only going to increase as well. I've got to get my ears right, and I suffer with some vertigo as well. So hopefully that will help in there. We'll see. But I went in because I also, have this pain constantly in my face and you've heard me say this before about my eyes, and this side of my right-hand side just aches at times, like right in through here. Anyway, he pulled up my CAT scan from November and he said, well, you don't have sinusitis. And I'm like, really? Because
I figured it was sinusitis because that's what I had. That's what the surgery that I had as well.
It's not. And he put a tube up my nose, a camera up my nose, and had a look at it. God, that hurt. Brought tears to my eyes. And no, it's not. I've actually, what he diagnosed me with, I was diagnosed in 2008 with. But I thought they'd misdiagnosed me because then in 2011, I was diagnosed with EMS. So I was diagnosed with myofascial pain syndrome through the center of my face. And I thought, oh, well, no, they've misdiagnosed it. And it's actually the MS. But he turned around and said to me, no, I think you've got myofascial pain syndrome. I said, oh, I was diagnosed with that back in 2008. And he goes, and you didn't think it was? And I'm like, well, no, I put it down to the MS. He goes, no, I think it is the myofascial. And I'm like, well, that probably makes sense then. And he's given me the details of physiotherapists to actually go and work with to help relieve the pressure. So at the moment, it's so tight that it's pulling on my jaw and my teeth ache from it.
Wow.
Like just touching my teeth hurt. So he goes, oh, that's all part of it. I'm like, oh my God.
Just one more thing to deal with, right?
I know, just one more thing. So came out having to get grommets, which I'm having done on the 11th of September. So, as if this time of the year at the moment is not busy enough with being judged for all these more awards, as we know, for the Geelong Business Excellence Awards, and I had judging yesterday in those. My daughter's getting married on the 15th of October. I've got another trip to Sydney on the 23rd, and then I'm back up to Townsville on the 28th. So life is very busy at the moment, and then throw in there I'm having my wrist done next Tuesday as well, so that's another surgery, and I'm not allowed to drive home, so I don't know what they're pumping me with. I've got to get someone to drive me home after that one.
Yeah.
And then the following Tuesday my ears. Following Tuesday? Monday. I don't know, I'll have to have a look at what date they gave me. So
it is good to prioritize your health, though. I mean, this is really important. Obviously, these are big things, and yeah. And sometimes, like, I must admit, for the surgeries that I've had, they've been sort of a game changer for me. And, I've only had like a tonsillectomy to get my tonsils out because I used to have chronic tonsillitis all the time.
Can I tell you what happened about that?
Go on.
As well today. So I had my tonsils out in 1977. Were you even born then? No.
I didn't want to say it.
No. You're an 80s baby, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, God. Now I feel instantly old. Anywho, had them out when I was 6. And then I had them out again in 2009 when I was 38, 39, around that age. And I've still got the tiniest little tonsil crypt that is at the back of my throat because of the constant sinus drip, which causes these things. And he looked in my throat today and he goes, "Oh, and you've still got tonsils on each side." And I'm like, "What? Are you serious? I've had them out twice. I spent a week on endo in the last time when they cut them out." He goes, "Oh, well, there's still some there." He goes, "But we won't touch them if they're not causing you any issues." And I'm like, oh, my God. So that explains when I get a sore throat why I've got a really, really sore throat with tonsils still in there.
Oh, my God.
So twice.
Sorry, but I don't think you got a very good surgeon then. That's my viewpoint here.
First time or the second time?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they can just miraculously grow back. I know that they can if there's some tissue there, but still, I don't know, man. That sucks.
Does not surprise me with my body at all.
That's right. You'll be able to grow back limbs and stuff. You'll probably never die because you'll just grow back limbs that are missing,
So he's like, "Oh, do you want to do local in putting the grommets in my ears?" And I went, no. Local anesthetic does not work on me at all. You'll have to give me far more needles and far more local for it to
That's
actually
right. You have a horse tranquilizer or an elephant tranquilizer, something like that that's hardcore. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no, you're not putting that in my ear either. Local, no.
Well,
And just thought of it, like having the tube put up my nose today was enough. And I'm like, yeah, no. And he goes, "We'll put you out." Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, not
totally.
Yeah, so not.
But this is probably a necessary surgery. Now, like, I don't love the idea of just going and getting surgeries, but I can say, as I was saying before, the tonsillitis that I used to get all the time, that used to just be so chronic, that was gone. So I've never had tonsil issues before after that.
Yeah.
The other one was the chronic sinusitis that I had. So I had a functional endoscopic sinus surgery, got that all, the honeycomb removed. That's helped heaps.
Yeah.
And my back surgery. So I had bilateral pars defect and spondylolisthesis, where my spine basically moved forward and was crushing my my disc. And so they basically had to take the disc out, fuse the two vertebrae together, and so now I've got a lumbar fusion. But I don't regret getting that because that's made my back so much more stable. Look, it was horrendous getting it done and then going through rehab and doing all that stuff. But Would I change it? No, I definitely wouldn't, because it's given me a quality of life now that I wouldn't have had before. I would have just had recurrent back bulging discs and all that sort of stuff. Now, if you've ever had a bulging disc, oh, they're the worst. I really hate it because it affects everything, like back pain.
Yeah.
It just impacts everything. Yeah. So, yeah, don't regret getting those done. But sometimes surgery can be necessary, and sometimes it just gives you that quality of life back that, you would otherwise not have. So, yeah. And it's not fun, but
no. But there's no end date on this either, so they're just going to leave them in until they fall out, or I need to have them done again, depending on what happens with my ears. So we'll see. Kids get them done all the time, so what's the difference of an adult getting it done?
Sure, why not? Just add it to the list of fun things for you to do.
Yeah, I know. So, if it's not medications, it's something else.
Yeah, so tell me about like the medications that you had,
what I've been on.
Yeah, your diagnosis.
I started off with around the steroids, as most of us do when we first have a relapse. So methylprednisolone IV in hospital, having that done. And then I got put on Copaxone, and I did Copaxone for about 4 months. And I would hit veins when I'd inject. And I'd pull it out. It was more like the back end, around the back, the flank, putting him in there, and I'd hit a vein and wouldn't know. And when I pulled
subcutaneous, by the way, like just under the skin, so just in case.
Because of the lipedema, my veins are different, right? And so I'd hit a surface vein and wouldn't know that I've done it and pull it out, and next thing I'd have this squirting blood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, the Copaxone's just coming out with that blood as well. So after 4 months, I relapsed, and it was a big relapse, that one. Affected my bladder. That's when I couldn't orgasm, that one, and went in and I went, you need to do something about this now. I think my neuro nearly fell off the chair. And then I had to wait the 6 weeks because they won't start you on one until you've had that buffer. So it was about 6 weeks I had to wait. And I'd had steroids again anyway. So they don't like you to have a course of steroids and start a new medication at the same time. So you got to wait for those steroids to kick in. So it was at least 6 weeks. Then they put me on Tysabri. And it was on Tysabri. 4 months into it, I found out that I was JC positive.
I was just about to ask, did they do the test for the JC virus, which they're supposed to do, although they may not have known much about it at the time, actually.
They didn't. So the test had to be sent overseas. They couldn't do it. They could do it here, but they couldn't get the results here, and it had to be sent overseas. So that's why it took so long to get over there and then discover it and then come back.
Because what happens if most people, if they do have the JC virus, what happens to them?
So it doesn't do anything unless you mix it with one of these antiviral medications. And that's
where brain virus. So I think it was like only 4% of people survived it, and they get a brain virus and they've died. These people have died. So
you can get that brain virus without. It can happen to anyone. It doesn't. By being on the disease-modifying therapy drugs, just increases the risk of getting it. But
yes, correct.
And if you're not on any medications like that, you can still get it. So it develops into a thing called PML, and PML will either kill you or leave you in a vegetative state. So it will leave you in a vegetative state, and the MS still progresses at the same time. You just don't know about it. Anyway, you can make a decision. The first 2 years they consider safe, and then the risks increase into the third year. So there's 13 cycles in a year because it's every 4 weeks, and you go to hospital, and it normally takes around 4 to 6 hours, depending on what your body's doing, for that infusion to go in. I did 37 infusions. So I was well and truly into my third year, and I loved it. I felt great on it. I had energy on it. It had slowed down the amount of relapsing that I was having. I didn't relapse on it. It did change my liver levels. My liver levels went out then. And then my veins kept collapsing. So that was one of the reasons that I stopped. It was so traumatic, not just for me, but also for the nursing staff to try and find veins. And then, be in the middle of an infusion and the vein had collapsed. It would blow out, and then they had to start again and try and find another one, and it was just horrible. So my neuro and I decided that I would come off that one, and then again had to wait that 6-8 weeks to start on the next one. And then I went on to Gilenia, and I did that for 4 months. And
Is that a tablet?
Yeah, so that's a daily pill,
Yep.
that one, and you take it the same time every day. And that was a fail because in a 4-month period, I ended up with 7 major infections requiring antibiotics each time, and I got shingles. And I got shingles on my lip, up my nose, and up my face. Now, shingles is the herpes virus, and the herpes virus crossed back with these drugs. There's been cases of people dying from it. So because of that and the shingles and that, he went, no, you're off that one. We'll have to try something different. So because it had compromised my immune system so much. I'd had shingles when I was 15. So the virus was already laying dormant in my body. And then I waited. He wanted to put me on a Bargio, and it scared the crap out of me. And I waited about 6 months before I went on it, and the MS nurse convinced me to go on that one. And in that 6-month period, I relapsed. So I'd had my first new lesion in 4 years, and that affected my leg and my speech a bit. And I then went on a Bargio. I didn't want to go on it because a Bargio gives a lot of hair loss, and I was worried about losing lots of my hair. And then I came off all drugs in February 2017 when I developed 3 primary cancers and 2 other blood conditions. So
best reason to come off medication, but I'm glad that you're off medication.
Yeah. And then then I had to do chemo, and I went on one of the chemotherapy drugs they had me on. It was called bendamustine, and that was a derivative of the mustard gas from World War One. Yeah, scary shit. Yeah. And I also then was put on for 2 years rituximab. And rituximab is the big brother to Ocrevus, which is a common MS drug. But rituximab is extremely expensive. There are some people in Australia that are on rituximab for their MS. But the doses that I had for the rituximab were far, far higher than what anyone would ever have with Ocrevus. So I did 18 months of that one as well. Then my immune system was so compromised that I was just getting infection after infection. So they put me on what's called SCIG therapy. Oh, no, I was on IVIG therapy, so intravenous intragram. And I was on that from 2018 through to the beginning of 2020, so nearly 2 years of doing that, or 18 months it might have been of doing that. So that's other people's antibodies. So when people go in and donate blood, the Red Cross takes the antibodies out and puts it in this sticky serum, and then I was going into hospital once every 4 weeks and having intravenously a drip put in. Then COVID hit, and they went, "Well, you can't come in now to the cancer ward to have that done. You're going to have to learn how to do it at home." And I ended up having learning how to do SCIG therapy. So that's subcutaneous intragram. So it's still other people's antibodies, but instead of once a month, that gets put into under my skin, which I hook myself up to 3 needles and then into a pump to pump it in, the syringe pump, every week. And that keeps my blood cells at a level that they can fight some infections, because I'm borderline neutropenic and lymphopenic all the time on that. So then in 2017, 2018, I went on CBD oil because they had me on Lyrica and I hated it. I've been on baclofen, I hated it. And I said, I just want to try CBD oil. And I tried it in 2017, 18 by prescription. Actually, first I tried it illegally. I sourced some to see if it would actually work, and it wasn't the right strain of plant, but I did get high from a couple of them. I was levitating off the ground on one. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm meant to feel like this. And
that's not helping right now.
no, but some of the stuff that I did source, it made a huge difference to the quality of my life. I actually slept through the whole night, and I hadn't done that in 10 years because of pain and spasms. And here I was waking up in the morning feeling far more refreshed than previously by not taking it. So my neuro then applied for the permit to get me on it. And that was an ordeal. And look, I think that took at least 3-4 months to get that permit approved. It wasn't easy, which is ridiculous. Nowadays, it's a lot easier, and there's cannabis clinics and everything like that you can go to. And we're lucky we've got one in Torquay, not far from where you and I are, Allyson. So I'm nearly out of my last script, so it's all on prescription. It's not cheap. And I'll go down to the cannabis clinic and be reassessed because they know more about it now, and there's different strengths. And I'm on a 10-10 blend, so 10% CBD oil and 10% THC. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And in between antibiotics, more than what my body should be on. So what about you, Allyson? What about your journey?
I'm not sure it's quite as colourful as yours, to be honest, but let's not compare. So yeah, when I was diagnosed, they got me started on methylpred as per usual. A couple of days later, they got me started on betaferon. So that's an injection, subcutaneous injection every second day. And so for anybody who's not on those drugs, you get an auto injector. So you get a little bottom part, like a pen kind of almost, a pen holder kind of. You put the syringe in it, you screw on the top and it's got a little button on it. You put it into the skin and then you press the button and it automatically kind of goes in. So you don't have to kind of plunge anything or anything like that. So it makes it a lot easier these days. But what happens, the side effects of those ones are that you get flu-like symptoms. So you just get your injection, half an hour later, maybe less, you just feel like you've got the flu for an amount of time that you don't know. And that lasted for a couple of weeks. So when I was first diagnosed, the first 3 years, I got a lot of relapses. I'd say almost 10 relapses. And yeah, it was a couple of years down the track where they went, all right, look, I think we better change your medication, but maybe what we'll do is we'll try you on beta-ferron injections and Copaxone injections. So I was doing 2 injections one day, 1 injection the next day, 2 injections, 1 injection. Oh, that was a lot of injections. And my skin, obviously, finding injection sites when you've got a relatively small frame anyway is pretty tough. And so I've got these kind of these man-made love handles now.
Big, it's tough when you've got a big frame as well. I can only imagine what it's like.
Yeah. So I've got man-made love handles now that I can't get rid of because they're damaged fat cells, right? So I actually, even though I've lost weight, that fat just doesn't have anywhere to go because it can't get broken down. So I'll probably have to get liposuction or something to kind of actually clear it out if I wanted to remove those. And the same around my tummy as well, like around my belly button area. Anyway, so I was on Copaxone for a number of years, and then I had the relapse in 2013 where I couldn't walk. And so they sort of went, all right, so maybe we better get you changed on medications. So I changed to Tecfidera, which is a tablet. And you take that, I think it's 1 in the morning, 1 at night or with dinner. I found that, so I should go back. The Tecfidera, yes, you'll get some reactions like around the site. Fair enough. I understand that because you're actually physically piercing the skin. But did you ever experience the post injection reaction?
Oh, where you come out with hives?
No, where you go into like anaphylaxis?
No, I had with the Copaxone, that's what I should have mentioned, was every injection site I would end up with a hive the size of a bread and butter plate up and down my legs and itchy as heck. And when I spoke to my neuro about it, he goes, that's something that you're going to have to learn to live with. I couldn't wear jeans because of friction on with the material. I'm like, no, I'm not living with that. You need to find something else. But no, not that. No, touch wood, not the anaphylactic. But you have.
I had the anaphylactic reaction. So I remember having the first time I ever got it, I was at my ex-boyfriend's place and I injected in the morning, and then all of a sudden I get this kind of flush of heat. I felt like my face was like blowing up with heat, and all of a sudden my esophagus just went and I just couldn't breathe. So I was running around the house going, like trying to breathe, panicking because I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? What happened right now? And I remember thinking, I'm just going to die like alone at home for reasons I don't even know right now. And anyway, that lasted I got to the point where I was like, I'm either calling the ambulance or my boyfriend at the time. So I called my boyfriend. He came home. By the time he was home, it was finished. It was over. So within 2 to 5 minutes, it was done. But that was terrifying, most terrifying experience because you don't know what's happening. Like nobody ever warned me about this. Nobody tells you about these things. So anyway, I actually talked to the MS nurse at the time about it. She goes, yeah, that can happen. I was like, they probably should put that on the label. And I'm pretty sure maybe somewhere right down the bottom of the fine print, it kind of has something about it. What she assured me was that it only happens to get to a certain threshold in your body and then it's done. So then you won't get it again. You only ever get it once. I got it 3 times or 4 times. And to the point where the last sort of few times that it happened, I'd know that it was happening and I would have to just work through it. I remember laying down on the bed and my husband even knew what was going on. And he was like, all right, it's all right. You're just, let's work through this. It's just a couple of minutes, like whatever. And, kind of coached me through it basically. But it's just terrifying when you have no idea what's going on. But anyway, that's Copaxone. And then I went on Tecfidera, and it obviously it's another lot of side effects. And so Tecfidera, I would look like a beetroot. I would get really hot flushes, but I would look like a beetroot. So like that that color, like maybe the color behind me here, it would just be red,
Wow.
completely red. And, people at work, because I was still working in the office, and people at work would like look at me going, are you all right? Like, you look, something's going on. I'd come out of meetings and they'd be like, it's okay, Allyson, don't worry. I know it's embarrassing. Not embarrassing, but I know that, you're concerned about this project that we're working on. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's just my medication. I just, and it was kind of hard to explain to people because it was a physical thing. I couldn't hide that at all. Yeah, so that was kind of shit. Then I changed my diet in 2018, 2019, and my health started to improve. I sort of got to the stage where I'd done all this research, and I'm like, maybe I could come off my medication, but maybe not. I'll just keep eating my healthy diet and I'll just stay on the medication. Then in March 2020, I heard the news of this COVID thing that was going around and killing people. And I was like, I don't need a compromised immune system.
Mm.
Oh my God, that's the last thing I want to do. So I stopped it. I stopped taking the Tecfidera, and I went, look, it could go either way. I could get a relapse because I've stopped medication. I'll just have to wait and see, but it's going to be a risk that I'm taking. And yeah, so it was one of those things, but I've been off medication since then, and yeah, it's all been fine. But just, medications and side effects, they're not the best, are they?
Yeah, no, they're not. Not at all. They suck. But sometimes we have to do them in
That's
order
right. I
to
mean,
do
I
it.
imagine back in the day, I wonder how many more relapses I would have gotten without these medications
Oh,
that
look,
were.
I saw what it did to my mum without having medications. And, the disease-modifying therapy drugs is what gave me all the MS. And would I go back on them again if I turned back time? Yeah, I would. That's what gave me the cancers with the DMTs. Would I go back on them again? Yeah, I would, because they did slow down the progression of the disease. I would be in a wheelchair full time now if I hadn't have gone on them, without a doubt, because my MS was so aggressive when I first got it, and I was going downhill really fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw what my mum's MS did to her in the 17 years that she had it. And, probably the last 8 years of her life, she was in a chair full time, and she'd lost full bladder, bowel. The last couple of years, the last year of her life, she was peg fed. She couldn't swallow, she couldn't drink any fluids at all. It had affected her cognitively, and I went, well, this medication now is out there that slows down the progression so we don't end up like her and on the, what's it called, the EEDS scale.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, I know the one, the disability scale, basically.
Yeah. And, she sat on a level 6 for a long 6 or 7 on a long period of 8. I think 8 is death. 0 is 0 disabilities. And because I'd had that experience and seen what it had done to her life, I mean, she died at the age of 49 from complications from MS. So I didn't want to go down that path. And wanted to try and do everything. So, yeah, medication, diet, exercise, water, no smoking. I've never smoked, but no smoking, no drug use, illegal drug use.
None of the hard stuff.
If
it's green, it's natural, right?
Right. Hey, I get it on script now, so it's not illegal. Yeah, only that short period of time that I didn't. And a positive mindset. I think a positive mindset. You can have all the drugs in the world, and you can, try and be eating as best as you can. But if you have a very negative mindset and a hate and an anger there, yeah, it causes stress on the body. and you'll do damage to your body.
So take-home message is, if you need to be on medications, if you need to get surgeries, if you need to do that sort of thing, it's okay. Look after yourself, but also know that there are these other things that you can do, these other lifestyle factors, like the diet, like the exercise, like what the things you said, that can actually help as well, to definitely prevent you from declining as fast as maybe we would otherwise. So slows that progression down, which is exactly what we want. Stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible. That's what I think.
That's right. Well, we might end it here today. Oh, we're up to 44 minutes today. Wow.
Yeah, love gas bagging, don't we?
So remember, listeners, if you've got any questions for us, please email them in, or any topics that you want us to cover as well, and we'll have a bit of a chin wag about those in the upcoming weeks. So any parting message, Allyson?
Just stay well, everyone. Do what you can to stay well and happy. Be happy too.
That's right. Be happy. And until next week, we'll be busier than ever. See you, everyone.
Are you ready to be inspired? Get ready for the book that will touch your heart and ignite your spirit. Whispers of Resilience, Personal Stories of Living with MS is now available for purchase. Have you ever wanted to peek into the lives of individuals who have triumphed over adversity? Look no further. This highly anticipated anthology brings together a group of exceptionally talented authors, all living with multiple sclerosis, who share their personal journeys with unyielding honesty and vulnerability. At www.resiliencemindset.com.au, you can now secure your copy of this remarkable book that captures the essence of resilience, hope, and the power of the human spirit. Dive into the stories that will captivate your imagination and open your heart to the triumphs and challenges faced by these courageous individuals. With each turn of the page, you'll witness the unbreakable spirit of these authors, as they navigate the unpredictable terrain of MS. Their words will inspire you, uplift you, and remind you of the incredible strength that lies within. Visit www.resiliencemindset.com.au now and embark on a transformative journey through the pages of Whispers of Resilience. Get your copy today.